Hey, you guys, Mr. Waltz here. I'm going to show you how to do the clock manufacturing. Um, Now, I'm doing this for the baseline design. If you want to get full credit on this and make a custom design, then your steps may be slightly different, but it should be pretty close. So, first thing we want to do before we start is make sure we have our Glowforge tool library and also our Glowforge post processor. So, go to the assignment, clock manufacturing, and you will see those two files. So I'll click on Glowforge Pro Tools Library first. We need to download this. It's not showing that option. So you go to the three dots on the top right, open a new window, and then you'll see the download. And I'm just going to put this in my downloads folder. For you guys, it should automatically go into your download folder. And you get that. And then I'm going to close that tab and go back. I also need to get the Glowforge post processor. Same process to download it. Click there. This one should let you download straight away. So you can do that and save that. So got to do that first, get those two files. We'll use those later in our setup in Fusion. So we'll go into Fusion now and start with that. So go find your clock, open it up. There you go. So you want to have the whole design finished here. We're going to go to the manufacturer workspace. I'm going to close the data panel. And you can see here what we've got is we've got the face of the clock. We've got the two supports. The supports are facing the wrong way, though. So we got to solve that. So I'm going to go back to design. And what I need to do in design is make copies of the supports and lay them out the way that I want. So I'm going to use this tool right here, move copy. Change it so it says components right here. And then I'm going to click on this support right here. I'm going to choose create copy. And I want to rotate this, but when I rotate it, I want it to stay in the same plane as the face. So in order to do that, I have to set the pivot point. And we haven't done this before. So it's right here. It says set pivot. And I'm going to rotate this and look at the bottom of the support. And what I want to do is put the pivot point right here on the bottom middle of the support, this face right here. You can see there's a little point right there. Then when you're done, you hit set pivot. You can hit the check mark. And you're good to go. And then go back to our home view. And so now when we rotate this, it'll rotate around the center. So I'm going to grab the tool there and turn this 90 degrees. Okay. I'm going to go look at this from the front. What I want to do is move this over to the right a little bit and leave a little bit of room. You can see it's overlapping. Now, if I zoom in here far enough, it'll let me move this 1 millimeter at a time. So I'm going to move it just a little bit to the right there. So there's a little gap. It's 52 millimeters. Then hit OK. Then I'm going to hit my move copy tool again. Select the support that I just made a copy of. Hit create copy and drag this up. And again, it's touching there. I want to move it 1 millimeter up. So if I zoom in, it'll let me drag it just 1 millimeter at a time. And there we go. So that's how we're going to lay the pieces out for cutting. And I hit OK. All right. So now I can go back to the manufacturer environment. And here we are in manufacturer. Let's go to the home view. And you can see I got everything here. This looks great. However, there's some things I don't want to cut. I don't want to try to cut these supports sideways. And I don't want to laser cut like any of the actual clock moving parts. So I'm going to go over here in this thing. It says models. You can hit the triangle to expand clock, expand that. And I have a list of all the different things that are in there. And I want to take the gasket, movement, washer, nut, hour hand, minute hand, second hand, and then the first two supports, support 1 and support 2, and turn those off. So then all I'm left with now is my face and my two supports. Okay, so that's where you got to get to. Next thing we want to do is start making our setup. So we're going to go up here where it says setup and click new setup. And we'll make a cutting setup. Make sure you have operation type is cutting here. And then down here it says model, nothing. Click on the nothing. And we're going to choose the pieces we want to cut, which are the face and these two supports. Then you hit OK. All right, so now we know what we're going to cut. And we're going to set up a cutting profile. So there's 2D profile right there. Click on that. First thing we got to do is set up the tool. So tool, click select. I'm going to click on local and then library. And what I'm going to do is right click here and I'm going to say import libraries. Now what we're going to do is go to our download folder, and you can see there's the Glowforge Pro tools library that we downloaded previously. We're going to double click that. Then we're going to choose, we have two materials, Baltic birch, plywood, or clear acrylic. Choose one and double click on it. And now we've set up the tool, our cutting tool. Now what we're going to do is make a 2D profile. So click on the geometry tab, and you can leave everything default here. And what we want to do is click on the outside edges of the clock, the hole in the clock, and these two supports. Make sure you're clicking the edges and not the faces. If you goof up, you can hit the X here and try again. Then I'm going to hit OK. And there you go. You can see there's my cuts. That looks good. Now I need to do the engraving for the faces. So I'm going to click the same tool again, 2D profile, and leave the tool the same. Cutting mode, though, we're going to change from through to etch because we're just drawing here. We're not trying to cut all the way through. A little different setup there. Click your geometry tab. Choose select same plane faces. And what I'm going to do is go here and click on this engraving, this face here. And here, notice I'm clicking the face and not the edge. Then what it'll do is click all the ones that are in the same plane, all the engraving, and I can hit OK. A little bit of magic happens, and there we go. Now, next thing we need to do is post-processing. So this is where we take these cutting profiles that we've created and put them into an SVG file for Glowforge. I'm going to click over here where it says Setup 1. Make sure you click on Setup 1. So that selects basically everything in Setup 1. We're going to use the post-process tool, which is right up here under Actions, post-process. It's got a little G1, G2 icon. We need to load our post-processor. You can see there's nothing here. It just says post blank. So you click this little file folder here, and we're going to click My Post Local, and then this tool right here that says Import. And look in your Downloads folder. You should have something called glowforge.cps, or it may just say Glowforge. Double click that. That's going to be our post processor. Hit select. Next thing you want to do is set up your output folder. So by default, it wants to save in a random folder. So choose this little folder here. Go over here, find your downloads or some other folder of your choice, and hit select. You can also have it put the files in your Fusion team if you want. It's pretty self-explanatory. I have that turned on, but it's not that important. Up here on the name, we're going to give it a file name. So I'm going to say clock. And then I can just click post. So now you've created your SVG file. Go on to the next video. It will show you how to go into the actual Glowforge software and use your SVG file to cut your parts. Okay, good luck. Have fun.